A little bit of pre-show. Nothing
Yeah, there
wrong with
was
that.
there was something I was just looking at and or clicked on, clickbait, and then boom, it shows up in an email.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I need to start the other stream.
Oops. Oops, 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 oops.
All right, now we'll hit that. There we go. All right, we're live there. We're live there. We're live everywhere. And now I guess the real question is,
There we go.
All right, we're live there. And we'll pause that. And yeah. So we got everything up. We're ready to go.
I actually tapped on one of the screens on my tablet because I'm experimenting with having my tablet displaying the show in, as my background. But I accidentally tapped on one and I got a Toyota ad. That's not for us.
Oh. Nope, we're not brought to you by Toyota.
Let's see if we can get. Hey, right. No ad this time. Probably because the Toyota ad counted.
Okay. Then I don't have anyone we can list as a sponsor. Unless we just list Toyota.
Maybe we have to go with Toyota. Yeah.
I guess we'll do that for now.
Look at this. All this black screen stuff. I'm gonna have to adjust my. Who's the dinghy?
Brought to you by Toyota. Maybe. There we go. We'll do that. Brought to you by Toyota, maybe, because I'm not all that clear that they were a sponsor for this stream, but maybe they were. There we go. And now the question is anyone going to tune in? But while we're waiting for people to tune in, we may as well open up the show.
My green screen is a little bit off.
Yeah, it's a little up. There you go. There you go.
Now we're professionals.
Now we're professionals.
Why didn't I notice that before? But, I can't tell you the answer to that because I really don't know.
Anyways, once again, we are all here for everyone's favorite internet radio show.
Insert title here.
The show that changes names so frequently, we put a placeholder in. And I'm here. Brian Blues is here. And a floating piece of... Is that a gnat? It keeps... Yeah, I got a gnat flying around the room.
That's nice.
That's great. Where did I put the flamethrower? Anyways, yeah, gotta love
the you flying. Get one of those little tennis rackets that's a bug zapper or whapper.
Oh, I gotta get one of those. I've been just, grabbing like I've just been whacking them with cloths, snapping them and trying to.
There you go. Old school.
I used
just
to like
the gym, right?
I always found the one easy way when we were living in the trailer up in Maine, the screens on in that thing were awful, and that we tape them up as much as we can, but the flies are always finding ways in, and so that's why Gothard hung a bug zapper over the toilet, so that way it was self-cleaning. They get zapped and they fall right in the toilet, and you just flush it every now and then when there was too many dead flies floating around. But and then we could shit on them. But
oh my, that's excellent.
And then I found the other great option was to put on the vacuum cleaner, because with a fly swatter you got to hit them dead on, but with the vacuum cleaner you just got to get the thing close enough that the fly can't overcome the suction, and then they're gone. They're gone. So you just wave around the vacuum hose a bit, and there you go. Of course, up in the trailer at Maine, we had one of the canister hose pole type vacuum cleaners, whereas here at this house, the vacuum cleaner we got from Kristen's parents is one of those big all-in-one units, so I can't really lift all that up off the floor and wave that around to catch the fly. Although that does have a hose attachment that comes off of it. I guess I could use that. But it's usually not worth digging it out. But yeah, so I decided to come home a day early from vacation, which worked out good. Because and Brian is testing the chat. Hashtag test.
Weird.
So it was not a good.
That turned into a hashtag. How
turned,
weird is that?
It turned into a hashtag because you typed in a hashtag.
I don't know. I didn't mean to hit it.
Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah. So yeah, that wasn't really good. So maybe in the future. Well, so I've got this other tab on my screen where I can join the show from there.
Uh-huh.
That way I can chat a little more discreetly.
Yeah. Whatever works for you.
Hey, and this time I got an ad.
Oh, okay. What's this ad? Because that will be the official ad. What's it an ad for?
The guy's creating a like a cartoon comic book something or other.
Okay, cartoon.
I'm guessing it's a Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Windows and Intel. Windows and Intel.
So it's brought to you by Windows and Intel. Okay, there we go. There we go. The new Windows 11 coming out soon, and I think my motherboard supports it. I know there's a bunch of controversy about that as to whether or not the your hardware.
Right. Maybe this was when you were off, but Mars and I were talking about it a little bit.
Yeah.
There is a link, which I have not tried. I saw someplace. I don't know where that is. Apparently, you can.
Oh, run a compatibility check.
Yeah. And then the text that I typed seemed like hours ago from this computer's extra other tab just showed up. Whoopee.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a good lag.
All right, let's see if I can find the compatibility check, because we may as well. I built this computer rather recently, so I should be all set for Windows 11 on this. It's a question of, do I really want to? So let's see. Minimum system requirements: 4 gig of RAM, gigahertz with 2 more cores, 64-bit processor. So there's no 32-bit version, I take it.
That might be the thing.
Because there is a 32-bit version of Windows 10, and you can install it on a Pentium 4, a later Pentium 4. You can't install 32-bit Windows 10 on every Pentium 4. But under a certain range of them, you can.
I was impression that shall we call it the default or most common Windows 10 was 32-bit.
No. 32-bit. You know what? I don't know the statistics on that, but in my experience in the professional world where I've been, I believe Windows 7 is when the iceberg tipped from 32-bit being more common to 64-bit being more common. But that's my personal experience.
Again, that's the business user, right?
Right. But I think home computers
and
Windows XP had a 64-bit version, but it's rare. And usually things that, because remember, the big thing about Windows Vista and Windows 7 was that a lot of hardware didn't have driver support. I think that's because most people were getting the 64-bit version of Vista and 7. And if they got the 64-bit version of XP, they would have noticed no driver support there as well.
Right.
So that was really the big problem. It was that a lot of hardware manufacturers didn't make 64-bit drivers for their older hardware. Whereas if you stuck with 32-bit Windows 7, Windows Vista, the older drivers might have still carried over or worked. But yes, there is a 32-bit version of Windows 10, and yes, you can install it on a later Pentium 4, which means that a later Pentium 4 will, in theory, it gets a little tricky for the 95, 98 ME era, but it is possible to install Windows 1 and upgrade through all the versions up to 32-bit 10 on a single physical machine, and I've done it. And now with Windows 11 coming out, that will no longer be a possibility to get all the way up to the current version of Windows on a single machine, because Windows 11 requires, what is it, TPM2, which means you got to have pretty recent hardware. There's no way you're getting 95 or 98 to install on more recent hardware. It can't handle. It can barely handle a Pentium 4. It doesn't like working with a half a gig of RAM. You got to patch things for it to deal with that. Windows 95 has a bug with a certain speed of processor.
Yeah, well, shouldn't that be all available in a, shall we say, virtual machine mode?
Right. Well, I'm talking about hobby stuff. I'm not talking about practical stuff. There's no practical reason to install Windows 95 on a new machine. But
here we go. Here's the confession.
But it's fun to do. It's fun to do. And now, Venison thinks there's a practical reason to do this stuff.
Well, because he actually has older equipment, right?
Well, he also had big boobs and liked to touch himself. And speaking of people with that habit, we got Gothard in the house. Hello.
Holy mackerel.
And I had to bring back an old meme.
Yes, that is right. And we will always remember Dark Elf taking one for the team, because that was an old message. Someone wrote in to try to get Emily to say that. And we decided to have Dark Elf read the message.
I have big boobs and I like to touch myself.
Which we will never let him forget. Wonder if Dark Elf's... one of these days, Dark Elf is a father. So one of these days we're going to have to educate his kid about, hey, do you know what your dad used to do on the internet?
I have big boobs and I like to touch myself.
Yes, nothing like embarrassing the father.
Yeah.
Credit.
This is revenge because...
And that may be like about this much, like shock. Like maybe this much or that much.
Yeah. That's not as shocking in England, I guess.
I mean, when women get married there, they buy a bunch of penises and dress up with them, like all over and stuff, like as hen night. I mean, culture's a little different.
Yeah,
look up hen night.
Well, even
just
programs
look
like
up
Top Gear. Like Top Gear and the Grand Tour on Amazon, those British guys don't hold back the way we do.
No.
So
Gothard,
how much fun are you having over there with a house full of dogs on a 4th of July weekend? You got a bottle of something. Yes, happy 4th of July weekend, also known as Let's Scare All the Neighborhood Pets weekend, setting off lots of loud explosions.
Hey, at least this year, the Thundershirt people were running a lot of ads, although I'm not sure that you would get it in time. What's the point of showing it on the 4th?
Out there? Okay.
What is this?
If you read the Stephen King short story, Drunken Fireworks, every cocktail they mention that the woman drinks is this and cream. It may be a dirty humcap, a Maine martini,
a Lewiston leg spreader.
So what is that liquid? What is that liquid that we were looking at?
Is that Allen's coffee brandy?
It's basically it's the Allen's version, but any coffee brandy will do. From if you're upscale Kahlua to your average Allen's to your sophisticated but on a budget and actually know how to get something better than Allen's for less money, and that's Mr. Boston. Mr. Boston, ironically, Allen's is made in Boston. Well, actually, it's made in Massachusetts. Mr. Boston is actually manufactured in Lewiston. And the coffee is roasted and manufactured in Lewiston.
So a proper Lewiston leg spreader would have a Mr. Boston in it.
No, it would actually have Allen's because that's what crazy Mainers think of as traditional. But honestly, the better coffee brandy is Mr. Boston.
So a traditional Lewiston leg spreader has Allen's coffee brandy in it, but if you want to stay true to your local manufacturers, you might substitute the Mr. Boston.
It actually tastes better and is cheaper. So,
there
which is the whole reason people started buying Allen's over, the Kahlua, which was the original. Kahlua and Cream was the sombrero. Then they went to Allen's Coffee Brandy and shit, and then they started making up all those weird names for it.
Now, Brian asking about what about Coca-Cola coffee? Where's Sir Mars? Well, Sir Mars got the link, but
coffee.
Yeah.
I put bourbon in my Coca-Cola. Thank you very much.
There you go. You go.
Every now and then, cola manufacturers come up with an idea of making a coffee-flavored cola, and it fails miserably every time. I mean, the 80s, Pepsi brought us Pepsi AM. In the early 2000s...
was that with coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even... Yeah. See, that name was stupid as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it was breakfast soda. It had coffee in it. So, Pepsi AM.
So I actually did see a 4-pack, because I think they're still just trying it out, of the Coca-Cola coffee at a Walmart this weekend.
I bought a 4-pack of that stuff in the early 2000s up in Maine when I was living there before I moved to California. It was pretty bad then. I imagine it's still bad now. But did you purchase it, Brian?
Oh, no.
Brian!
I need to check with Sir Mars first.
You're bringing this to the show. You needed to buy it and try it live on the show for the first time so you can educate us. That's if you see something you think would be a good show topic.
Gators just wants the spit take.
I tweeted Sir Mars a couple of days ago with a link to the ad that I bothered to look up, and he hasn't responded.
This was your opportunity to get in on the coffee action on this show.
Who's going to do it better than Mars? Am I right?
Well, I guess we'll have to wait for Mars then. And,
that's right.
By the way, where is that guy?
I don't know. He doesn't show up every week. He shows up most weeks, but I sent him the link, and he
out, because it's hard for him to see in the dark.
Yeah. He often spends holiday weekends with family members in other areas, so he very well may be visiting family for the long weekend. He often doesn't show up on a holiday weekend.
Yeah, it could be.
Which hey, I almost wasn't. It was almost a 50-50 whether or not I was going to be here today, because my original plans were to drive home from the shore today. And when I found out that the fireworks are postponed to next weekend, also known as the weekend no one cares about fireworks, I decided, well, I may as well drive home Sunday. And it was smooth sailing. I took 95 the whole way, no problem. Well, I didn't take the turnpike. I took 95 the whole way once I got to Connecticut. Smooth sailing, no problems on 95 all through Connecticut. I got home in like 4 hours or under 4 hours. The quickest I've ever made it home from the shore ever.
Well, I drove.
Cool. Yeah, I drove down Wednesday. I thought Wednesday afternoon was going to be a safe bet for driving down to the shore before 4th of July weekend, because I figured Friday, forget about it. Thursday, people getting an early start. Wednesday should be smooth sailing. Normally I'd go down in the morning, but my cousins kept raving about how great Trillium beer is. And Trillium is a local brewery. They have a few areas in Boston. They opened up one in Canton, which is south of Boston, so just a half hour north of me. And last summer, they kept on talking about, oh, man, you got to get that Trillium beer. You got to get it. And I look it up, and it's like you could place an order, drive there, pick it up from, outside. You just drive up and show them your ID, and they bring you your order that you paid for online, and you drive off. I'm like, oh, my God, I'll pick up a shit ton of Trillium beer and bring it down for 4th of July weekend. So Monday morning, I decide, well, I better get my beer order in so I have it ready for when I drive down on Wednesday. And I go to their website, and I found out that Trillium is closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. So I couldn't place the order till Wednesday. And they start taking orders at 9, but they don't open till 12. So I couldn't, I basically had to leave to pick up my order at 12 o'clock, a half hour north. And then, so that added an hour to my drive because I had to go up and then back down a half hour and continue on down south. But it was... a lot of accidents and traffic the whole way down Wednesday afternoon. It was not a smooth sailing trip, but I got there. And then it was really hot. And then Thursday it rained. And then Friday it rained. And then Saturday it was kind of damp. And then Sunday I got on the beach, but it was pretty cool. It was not swimming weather. But we ran into a little bit of a dilemma. Now, Gothard, you've met some of my family down the shore, right? Some of my cousins and all of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So we all play different games. We usually hang around and drink beer and play games like Yahtzee or Asshole or Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity. And my aunt was down.
What's the grossest IPA you can say is wonderful?
Yeah, that's I picked up
That's a different game.
I did pick up that is the standard. Kenny and Jeff are big fans of the IPAs, and I remember they
followed by the morning after game called Play with Kenny and what's his name's Drunken Hangover and Antic, and see where they're stashing the hangover booze on the beach.
So I gotta get an opinion here, because so I have an aunt who may have. I don't want to start talking about people, but I do want to talk.
This is what you tweeted about, right?
I want to talk about the situation. So this is not about the person; this is about the situation. But for the purpose of the story, we have to say that I had this aunt that may have grown up a little more sheltered than most adults have grown up.
Was she single?
Yeah, she lived at home with her parents up until their passing, and now she's on her home. But we bring her down the shore for weekends and visit, and we play games with her.
How is she doing?
She's doing good. She's doing good. She's glad to be able to get out for a weekend now, because
I'm sure
she's been in lockdown for a year. People were visiting outside the balcony that she could come out to say hi.
I'm sure she's glad to be out.
Yeah, but so anyways,
this is why remember back when there was the child that was living in a bubble,
right?
And so you get in that bubble and you could move around and whatever, do what you can, because the immunity system was just so bad on this kid that anything that came by, he got it.
Right.
So they've had a bubble for him. Why don't we have that today for more people?
I think that's another topic. But so at some point, the suggestion was made in jest. Hey, why don't we play? Because of course we're doing games. We play around a Yahtzee with her. We're all playing together, and one of the games that the cousins have that we might play at a late night session while drinking is Cards Against Humanity, which is always great fun. I'm
unfamiliar with that, actually.
You're familiar with?
I am unfamiliar.
All right. Well,
not familiar.
Do
you have the card set?
I don't own a card set. Have you ever played Apples to Apples?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So basically, all right. Let's just Cards Against Humanity.
Is that like Cards Against Humanity? Because I've played that.
Apples to Apples and Cards Against Humanity are basically the same concept, except that Cards Against Humanity is much more raunchy. For example, So just to bring Brian up to speed. So if you have Cards Against Humanity, you have the black cards, which are basically a fill-in-the-blank card that's played, and everyone holds a hand of 7 white cards, which have things that could be filled into the blanks. And everyone kind of puts down a card they want to fill into the blank, and basically going around the room, people take turns being the judge, where they put up a black card, they read it out. Everyone else throws down their white cards. The judge picks up the white cards, shuffle them, reads through all of them. A lot of laughing happens. And then that judge picks, well, I think this one was a better card. And that person gets to hold on to the black card, which basically is the point-keeping system. For example, a round that I won, that I was quite proud of, was the black card was, hey, dear, should we paint the room baby boy blue or blank pink? And I won with the card, let that pussy breathe. Let that pussy breathe pink, being the color of the room.
Oh.
So that gives you kind of an idea.
Not put a mask on that.
Now, not every card is that raunchy. Some are funny, some are silly, but they'll go dirty. You know, like there's a like, for example,
so what were some of the other answers on that one that other people had? Do you remember?
I don't remember the other answers for that fill in the blank.
Because who remembers the losers, right?
But I do remember one of the questions was TGI Fridays came out with a new menu item, the blank burger, and the card I played was prison, the prison burger, because I just had this card that said prison, and I didn't have anything really good for that, so it's like, let's get this card out of my hand. Sometimes you do a throwaway card, but the one that won that round was the card that was burger pulled away from you on a string. So you fill in the blank, the burger pulled away from you on a string burger. Now, mind you, that card could fit into other blanks with a completely different context, but the idea of a menu item that's the burger pulled away from you on a string burger was just
I would
genius.
like to see at one of those cooking shows like that. Diners, Dives, and Drive-ins, or whatever it's called.
So the point is at some point a joke was made. Hey, we should let our aunt play Cards Against Humanity with us, and she chimed in, yeah, but she doesn't know how raunchy it gets. But she does understand that Cards Against Humanity is a raunchy version of Apples to Apples. And I felt like her saying yeah to this idea expressed a certain desire to not be left out of activities just because they're a little more raunchy. And this turned into a family debate every time she wasn't in the room. And I came down the side of, she's an adult, let's play a few hands with her and see how it goes. But my other aunt was like, she doesn't know what half these things are. And it's like,
I come down the side of, she doesn't have many ways to express herself very easily, and this is one that's kind of fun.
Yeah. I felt like, let's see what happens. If she decides after a few hands, oh my God, I'm so offended, then we just swap the box for Apples to Apples. We deal. We continue. There's nothing that we can't recover from. You know, it's
the person that gets the white card should say, "I don't think you want to see this one."
Right. I guess we could have tried to put in a automatic discard rule. If you have a card that you don't feel comfortable playing, you could automatically discard it and pull a replacement.
Gators, have you played this game with your parents yet?
No, but I would.
I have.
Now that I believe. I think that'd be fun to play that with your parents. but then it's but I thought you would have gotten a kick out of Let That Pussy Breathe Pink. That being a professional house painter, she'd probably be like, actually, there is a shade of pink for. I could kind of see your mother not being a fan of some of the rounds, but that didn't stop her from having fun, I'm guessing.
Nope. I mean, she's a good sport, so
yeah,
she played it as raunchy as everyone else.
And
hot dog.
There you go. So I felt like we should just see what happens, but my brother was flat out opposed to it. My other aunt was like, "We can't do that," and my uncle stayed kind of quiet.
To it?
He was opposed to it. Yes.
So when did he have the
because of the aunt?
What's that? You both talked to the same.
When did your brother have a sex change?
Oh, that's funny. I had to.
He's been through shit.
But he was doing that for the aunt. Is that correct?
What's that?
He was thinking about the aunt and just thought it would be a bad idea.
Right. He didn't want to play with that aunt because
I can't imagine playing that with my parents.
Well, and that's a little different because if you told your parents, if your parents are like, "What's that?" and you said, "Well, it's a really raunchy game."
Oh, hang on, I gotta get this.
They'd say no. Okay. So at some point it turned into maybe we can go through the cards and pull out the cards that we wouldn't want to play around her and try to make a filtered deck to play with. And at some point I'm like, dude, I don't think it's right that we're sitting around here the table playing the role of censor board for our aunt. I'm not on board with that. Let's just
if you don't censor it, it makes her feel more normal. So there you go.
That's
my argument.
But the thing is I was outvoted. They decided apparently they had
siblings are assholes. They didn't let your aunt be a normal adult.
My brother was the only one. My sisters only came down for a day trip, so they were not involved in this discussion or this. It was just my brother, my cousins, my aunt and uncle that were basically weighing in on do we or do we not play Cards Against Humanity with this aunt. But I wonder if anyone else out there listening has had any similar dilemmas with, although I don't think we have many viewers right now. But that was the topic I kind of came with.
No.
Now Brian brought up the point that other people brought up because a point was brought up, if Grandma were still alive, would you play Cards Against Humanity with her? And I was like, if Grandma were around and we said, hey, we're playing this game that's like apples to apples, but very raunchy, Grandma would politely say, oh, no, thank you. She would not express a desire to play that. But my aunt understood that this was a raunchy game. And now the other thing was, my other aunt that was opposed to us playing with her.
Gators, just back up a second for just a moment.
All right.
When cleaning out my grandmother's house, the grandmother you did meet down that we lived next to, when cleaning out her house, early on, I don't know whether it was her or my grandfather, had these tumbler glasses, like the high boy glasses that when you put cold water in them, the women lost their clothes. Glasses.
Yeah. And
when cleaning out the house, we found in a filing cabinet a pair of a salt and pepper shaker that was basically a woman's from this point down with salt and pepper and a nice bikini figure to rest it on.
I hope you kept. I know you kept those. You must have kept those.
I actually gave them away, but
well,
Hanji was a big fan of those, so I was like, "How can I say no to somebody that's kind of amusing and likes weird, crazy shit like that?" So yeah.
Okay, I guess I see that. At least I ended up with someone that enjoys them and appreciates them.
The end of the story of those things is interesting. I can't remember what the name of the show was, but there was one about people in Maine that haggle about, wheeling and dealing and use stuff, and kind of like a poor man's version of the, what do you call those guys? Anyway, basically people that bargain in old, people's old crap.
Right.
And it's on like Discovery or something, but they at one point were at Andy's house and tried to see how much money they could get for just the titties because apparently the legs got broken by a blind accident.
What was what was on Discovery?
Okay, so years ago, I found in a filing cabinet in my grandparents' house a salt and pepper shaker that was two titties, as one tit was salt and one tit was pepper, and it was set on. It had its own little plate that it set on, which was a legs and chest of a bikini girl. one of those kind of Playboy kind of things from the 60s. Not naked per se, but a little bit naughty. And I gave it to a friend of mine that ended up on talking to some people that did a discovery show that was about wheeling and dealing in people's used stuff.
So they were trying to buy this salt and pepper shakers off of them.
I wish I could remember the name of the reality show. It was one of those cheap,
Okay.
Oh, something on the order of the American Pickers or something like
or
that.
History Channel.
Or
Yes,
History Channel,
but the main low budget version of it. Somewhere between
Actually, there are
Pickers
some things on
Main Cabin
American
Masters.
Pickers that are a bit racy.
Right.
And they kind of get by with it. Nowadays they just
this didn't make it to
things
the
out.
show. It was just Andy was interviewing them because he worked for the Free Press. So
right.
Yeah.
But
That's cool.
they just can't help themselves. They just do this all the time. Like the show is superfluous. I mean, that's what they're always doing is they see something that they're like, I can turn that for $1. How much do you want for that?
Yeah.
So,
and I do like the Robin Williams movie, the Birdcage, because he brings in guests and they have some racy dishware, not like Nick's, but which is a little too frilly, as it were. Images that might be insulting to people.
But
coming full circle to Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah. So I guess the point I was making as Brian had to take the call was that a point that was often made was, well, would you play with Grandma if she was still around? And my response to that was, if Grandma were still around and the topic came up of we're going to play Cards Against Humanity this evening, and she asked the question, what is that? It's like a version of Apples to Apples, but with much more raunchy prompts. She would politely say, "Oh, no, thank you," and decline to play. So that's the difference. Whereas our aunt knows it's raunchy. She might not know how raunchy it is, but then there's also the question of, would she understand half the terms we use?
Right.
And so my other aunt said, well, if we play, we'd have to have a rule that she's not allowed to ask questions because I ain't explaining this to her. And
right.
No, because no one wants to be the person that has to explain to their aunt what a queef is. That's just...
it's just
you didn't
gas passing.
Brian, you're familiar with that term. I'm sure you.
Nope.
Oh. So now we have to have the awkward explanation to the senior citizen.
Yes. Who wants to do the Who wants to explain?
I could do this in 2 words.
Yes.
Farting vagina.
Pussy farts. There you go.
Ooh.
Well, air could get trapped in there, and it could expel through tight lips. I
get the idea.
That's a thing. I
can't say that I've ever heard it.
You've never heard the term queef.
I've never heard the actual thing happen.
There's a thing called Urban Dictionary, Brian.
Of course, I understand that.
Heck, I do.
Hang on. I'm going to stop and look it up. No, I have my friend Johnny tell me.
I knew what a queef was before Urban Dictionary was a thing. I mean, come on. And the reason I do it...
But then again, you are much more learned than I. You have a doctorate and things like this.
No, there was a guy. there were a couple of guys in my Boy Scout troop named Mark and Keith that were friends, and Mark always called him Queef.
Oh, I see. So this is a. This is almost close to family.
Yeah.
They were not family.
Well, hey, Boy Scouts.
I didn't say I liked. Mind you, I hated everyone in the Boy Scouts.
Right.
They were all a bunch of queefs to me. But
right.
Not just Keith.
Right. But that's a word that you grew up with. Yeah, we didn't use words like that.
Yeah. I
not that I can think.
With school, social activities, whatever, the word's existence was known and through context figured out what it means. And yeah.
Well, there was a lot of things about the Boy Scouts where you learned about such things.
Right.
That happened to not been on my list.
Yeah. They didn't teach you that back then, I guess.
Well, I mean, you learn from your. Yeah. I hate to use the word colleagues in Boy Scouts, but effectively that's what it is.
Yeah.
The other dudes.
Yeah. So that was the dilemma. So I don't know. I like I said, I was outvoted, so they decided to play apples to apples, which I had to leave yesterday anyway, so I didn't even stick around for that. It's like, yeah, you have fun with your apples to apples. I'm beating traffic. Yeah. But yeah, no, it actually kind of pissed me off. Like, it felt to me wrong to even though their heart's in the right, they're trying to be nice, they're trying to be good, but it's like, dude, it's not up to us whether or not we should continue the sheltering of someone. If they have an opportunity and express an interest,
just throw a rough age on this relative. Rough number.
50s.
Okay.
I think maybe I mean,
older than us.
Yeah.
Well, except for me.
younger than somewhere between our age and your age.
That's right.
Pick a number at random.
Yes. In between. That works. Oh, incidentally, our former employer is going to have a luncheon in August. You want to come for it?
Tharco?
Yeah.
But that former employer doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, but it's all the former coworkers that are getting together.
Oh, it's a Tharkonian gathering.
Like a Tharkonian bash.
Who's running it?
Maria Cadiz, or Black, however you want to call her name.
That's she always went by Black. But that's right, in the system she had that other name. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Well, it's hyphenated, so
right. But I only know it's hyphenated because at some point in the system I saw that, but she never went by that. In fact, I don't think it was until one of the takeovers that the legal name actually came to my attention that there was a hyphenated name.
Brian, he's only going to do it if there's dim sum involved. Just let you know.
If there's what?
Dim sum involved.
We're going to a Mexican place.
La Piñata?
Okay, next step.
No, actually not. We're going to El Torito, which is surprising to me.
Huh.
Maybe because they have a larger space. I don't really know.
So
I mean, it doesn't bother me, but the price is $35 a head.
Oh, okay. Is there a discount for coming from across the country?
For spending $500 to get there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if that was the case, I would not only pick you up from the airport, but I'd also pay your way. Although they might say, no, don't let him come.
Is Nick flying in for this?
I'm going to talk to him. I think I'll talk. I haven't talked to him about it. I think I will, though.
Mars is going to.
Do you follow Bertha on Facebook?
Bertha.
From
one of the Butt sisters.
Bertha Butt. Wait, which one was? I'm blanking.
Oh, she was supervisor in fact, I think it was kind of unwanted. She didn't want the job supervisor of customer service for a long time. After they got rid of Amy.
Oh, Bertha. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right. A little older.
One of the Butt sisters.
Anyway, so there was a birthday for her mother. I'm guessing that the woman is about 80.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had a big family party and brought in a mariachi band, and there are multiple posts on Facebook about it.
Oh.
And when you look at the posts, from friends and family, most of them are in Spanish. Thank goodness there is a translate button that really works on Facebook.
That is good.
So I could, because it's like, okay, I have a feeling this is the older lady's birthday. Translate. Absolutely.
Brian here has not worked for Tharco in a number of years, and Tharco ceased to exist a number of months ago, and yet you are still tapped into all the Tharco gossip. So that is how tapped into the gossip you are. You're so tapped into their because you were the one that always came up to my desk and told me what was going on in the building. Because you knew.
Because I would take the time, as I'm working out the details of a program in the spinning brain, walk around the building and talk to different people.
Yeah, you did that mosey around, strike up conversation shit, yeah. But the thing is,
did you do it with a cup of coffee?
As opposed to Nick, who is also a programmer,
who stayed in his cube in his own little world.
He did not know anybody.
If you start,
he knew a small group of people, but not.
See,
if you start,
I'd wander around.
Go ahead.
I'd wander around like that guy from Office Space with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to come in on Saturday.
But I'm be like,
that's that man's
everything okay
guy.
with that computer there? Good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it was
and he's the guy that
he
gave
did
that
it.
one guy the stapler, right?
Right.
Yes.
But
you're not the guy that won the stapler. You're the guy
character.
that went around and went, yeah. With a vocal fry. Yep.
Right.
That's you, Brian.
But I mean, I went around. I knew everyone in that building because I was service desk. I fixed everyone's computer. Everyone called me.
Yeah.
But no, and I talked to people. I'd make conversation. But But you still knew all the shit I didn't know, and everyone told you everything.
You're there for business, and I was looking for the big picture. To me, it's the big picture. What are these people like? What are they capable of? If I wrote this program and this guy just wasn't capable of it, okay, that ain't working.
It's funny.
Right?
So in the zombie apocalypse, which one do you think would be the best pick?
At Tharco?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what you needed. You need people in different departments. I mean, the smartest guy.
Though.
The smartest guy was Gordon, but he would probably be the first one dead.
Oh.
Would he though?
I don't know. That's actually a good,
I don't know. He might
spot.
be a smart choice, or I don't know. No.
He might cut a deal with the zombies, right?
Now who was?
Or he would drive them crazy, and they
deal
would leave.
with a zombie. They're kind of like they need a brain to survive, but they obviously don't have much one.
You know what? I just need someone that I can run faster than. So Nick would be my first. Oh, that was so wrong. That was so wrong. I am offended at myself right now. He lost toes, right?
Well, and it's progressed from there. But now he has a prosthetic. So I think he can walk now.
I think I can still run faster than him.
Well, that's probably
yeah.
I don't think he has one for running.
Now, Oi, the drama is tuned in, and apparently Oi likes your screen name there. I have big boobs. Your I almost said it. But yeah, that's the reference to Dark Elf's old line on the show.
I have big boobs and I like to touch myself.
But Oi's writing prosthetic toes. I guess he's lost a foot at this point.
Yeah, I think it's the entire foot.
Yeah.
But at first, before he left California, he lost like the first half the foot. So the toes were completely gone, and I don't think they had time to. I don't think it was healed enough to get a prosthetic.
Right.
And then things got worse as he got to Minnesota. But now he's got a prosthetic leg, which means everything's been healed.
So there we go.
So good news.
So
I don't know how much time he spends in a wheelchair.
So you're trying to lure him out to fly out to San Fran.
Well, I mean, I haven't really thought about it. I'm going to need to call. I need to call him because the money is due to Maria by the 15th of July.
Oh, now, when in August is this?
I think it's the 15th.
Maybe
Saturday.
That's a Sunday.
No, then the
14th.
This month?
No, August.
August. Because one of those weekends we'll be celebrating my dad's birthday, so I can't.
I was totally off. Saturday the 7th.
You know what? I have to work a full day that Friday. I guess if I work remotely, I could fly out there midweek, take a day off, and work a full day Friday from a hotel room on Wi-Fi, or from Brian's guest room.
Oh, we'll put a tent in the backyard.
Yeah. I'm sure that the rest of your family will be quite thrilled with. Yeah, we got a guy sleeping in our backyard. Although I guess that's better than the guest room. Wi-Fi reaches the backyard then, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, we could put you on the gravel right outside the window, and you'll have top percentage. Or we could clean out the shed a little bit, and you can sleep in the shed. That way, if it's raining, it won't be a problem.
There we go. You got like a mattress you can put in there, or set of guest sheets and a towel, and
we'll have to work something up.
Yeah.
Because we don't have space big enough for a queen size bed, so I might measure it and get a smaller airbed type of thing.
You can always find used mattresses on Craigslist pretty easy.
Just as long as they don't stink, right? No. Some of these inflatable beds that are quite good nowadays are not that expensive.
Yeah. There we go.
I mean, who the heck wouldn't want a new one, right?
If I were still in California, I'd be there for that event in a heartbeat. But I cannot. I'm
just hoping that Gordon will be there.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I was tasked with contacting Dan, and he's going to go.
Yeah.
Cool. Obviously, my Fong is going to go. I'm sure. I'd be surprised if she isn't.
I mean, she's still kind of working for them.
Yeah. Offering you a Kema inflatable bed.
Yeah.
Right.
Or an
inflatable something else.
I got flying across the country for a work-related dinner.
It's actually a lunch.
Lunch. All right. Oi writing in, wherever Gator sleeps, he prefers to be with the Asian MILF in those pictures. No, but she's in Singapore.
Yeah. As far as we know.
But
she could have been visiting from some other place.
Well, if my Fong's going to be there, we know Gordon will be there. So there is that. Was that in poor taste?
We're gonna let it slide.
But it was absolutely true.
Yeah, I never actually really thought of that.
No, my Fong knew. I mean, Gordon would come into the room and would go, I have to take my sexual harassment trainings. I came in here to rub your I came in here one last time to rub your shoulders before I take my sexual harassment. And he literally got behind my Fong and gave her a shoulder rub. And I kind of turned to her afterwards. I'm like, "Were you really cool with that?" So, it's just he jokes with me. I'm like,
by the way, I don't
think he's joking, my Fong.
I don't know if you've watched Schitt's Creek, but there are some very funny bits about that type of training.
Yeah.
Very funny. And they have some old tapes from when Johnny, it's Johnny. had his old video store chain,
Mr. Rose
video
Senior.
store chain. Have you seen that, Gothard?
Yes, I
Schitt's
have.
Creek. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a great show. I mean, we watch it through, and when we got we're bored. Oh, let's put on Netflix and watch commercial-free, unedited version, of Schitt's Creek. And the episode runs about 20 minutes. You get into the thing,
even
boom,
have a
boom, boom,
Lightning
it's
Bolt
done.
shirt. I'm that big a fan.
No kidding. Wow. Just like David's, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Black and white.
Mm-hmm.
We would laugh at the way he would dress.
Oh, it's funny. It's hysterical. You know what's
and then all the clothing that Moira wears is just unbelievable.
You know what's funny though is like the stuff they got that for David is legitimately real, actual designer clothing. Like it's not bullshit that's made up. That's actual, well-known.
In fact, did you see that? That might actually be an hour long. There's a post show that they talk about the show and all the different features. And there's one segment that talks about the clothing and how, they got a really great deal on this super designer clothing, particularly from Moira.
Yeah.
I mean, they went to town getting her and all this different stuff.
And all the Catherine O'Hara wanted was wigs and to make up her own.
The wall of wigs was hilarious.
Yes.
And then there's the episode she's out of town and the kids are trying on the different wigs. and Johnny says, you got to put those back where they go on the right peg they were on because Moira has a spreadsheet.
Okay. Spreadsheet.
And when they're leaving, she calls the wigs her girls, right?
Yes. It's one of those shows. I will say this about that show. Season 1, good. Season 2, season 3, season 4, it starts to kind of go up, and then by season 4 and a half to on out, it just gets amazing.
See, actually, and I would go this far.
It starts out on
season 1,
and then gets really better.
But season 1, you're learning about the characters, and at the very beginning, you actually kind of hate them.
Yes.
These people are self-centered, blah, 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 blah. But then again, and the big turning point is the last episode of season 2, where they're at the dinner and people that they knew from years before show up at that restaurant. So they sit together and they're talking and they're kind of joking about, we went through this town called Schittsville or something like that. They couldn't even get the name right. And then Roland shows up and, the crap continues and Johnny sets up and says, look, by the way, Schitt's Creek is the name of the town and that's where we live. And, this guy has really helped me out and you did fucking nothing. Now, of course, I'm paraphrasing that. And
okay.
But, to me, that was the total turning point.
Anyways, I'll have to check that out sometime, but lately I've been binging Mindhunter. Greg got me hooked on that.
Incidentally, Amazon just picked up Schitt's Creek.
Real in the beginning.
Yeah, that's the one.
Amazon just picked up Schitt's Creek, but they have commercials. I suspect it might be unedited. I haven't watched it. Well, I have Netflix with no commercials. That's better.
Okay. Well, I have both, so...
Yeah.
But I've been watching Mindhunter on Netflix, and that was something that Greg introduced to us. He thought my stepmom would find it interesting because she watches a lot of true crime shows. She wasn't impressed with the guy shooting his head off in the opening scene, and it sucked. My dad watched a few episodes. I watched a few episodes. Mindhunter.
Oh,
it's a very good show.
It's based on reality, but it's not 100% true.
It's one of those that takes a lot of cues from actual events and amalgamizes it into a character that's not real, but basing it off from an actual department that was being formed in the 70s for serial killers.
Yeah, it's based on the FBI's department that started, researching serial killers and, interviewing them to understand how their mind works and kind of profile them and their behaviors because they really didn't understand what they were looking for when these crimes were committed. And this allowed them to kind of get an idea from looking at the crimes and the crime scenes of, we're looking for a guy that's like, this age, into this, or, this type, if you don't understand the crimes, you don't know who you're looking for.
And that's Ted Kaczynski.
Right.
Not just Ted Kaczynski.
You really have to get
the big tall guy that they interview a lot. That's the really creepy guy.
Edmund Kemper?
Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper did, in his, since he was imprisoned, did a lot of the reading for Recordings for the Blind. So I am thinking at some point I have heard a book read by a serial killer.
That's great.
It is plausible.
It absolutely. He has a good speaking voice.
He would be the type that would read Ray Bradbury. Just seems to be like this kind of deal, but I may be wrong.
Let's see if we can bring up his voice here to compare. Because here we go. Here's
the real Ed Kemper, not the one from Mindhunter.
Yeah, the real one. He's there's an interview on YouTube with him.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Can you say how many people might be doing crimes like you were doing?
It would be a guess,
oh my God,
but it's far more than 35.
Would read some
it
of those
isn't
books.
that.
Oh my God, you know that voice.
I remember that voice. I know that voice from my childhood.
That's a good
I got Recordings
voice.
for the Blind because I was dyslexic. So I got Recordings for the Blind and dyslexic.
I gotta say, he's got a good voice for it.
Sped up. He does have a great voice. He has a really good voice.
Yeah.
It's just that if you read about Ed Kemper, you can kind of understand why he turned into be such a fucked up person.
Yeah. No, and he explains it too. Yeah.
It's whoa.
His mother pretty much hated him
and locked him in the basement a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Really, really horrible stuff. It's like
blamed him for the failed marriage. Yeah. Yeah.
If you watch the movie Sling Blade, imagine that character treated worse. And that's Ed Kemper.
Well, and I mean that's why one of his murders was he killed his mom, and that was really what a lot of his rage and his killing was based on, was killing his mom. But he's someone that loved to talk about it, loved to talk with cops. So, but the show's like a fictionalized version of this, but based on reality. So they actually have scenes where these FBI agents will go into the prisons to interview these serial killers. And it's a very fascinating show. I've started the second season. I'll probably watch a few more episodes tonight before I go to bed.
I will say this about the show. The music that accompanies it from the time period is spot on.
Oh, yeah.
And very good and poignant, which is wonderful. Stuff that I was like, what is that? I haven't heard that before. I forgot about that. And then I'd look it up and I was like, sure enough, that is who it is. So,
yeah. Oi writing in, can you imagine being the person who discovered Kemper for reading books? Just a normal day in the death row visiting center, and one day the book agent realized the blind will love this killer's voice.
maybe there was some restitution involved.
I'm thinking, because there are different programs that have started that allow, basically it allows putting people in prison to use and cheap labor. And I guess, what can prisoners do? Well, they can talk. So talking books,
it's one of those things that people want to just always pigeonhole people that do bad things as just 100% bad people. But there's probably like 50% of them that's decent. And if they're going to want to do something decent, let them do something decent. At least,
Yeah, I mean, that was
letting them.
Well, the question is he taking a job from somebody that would be good?
No. It's Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic. They have no money. They're pretty much a charity organization.
But can you get a James Earl Jones to do it for free?
Well, they do it on Audible now.
Of course.
And you get an Audible subscription. This is before that. This is when
of course. No, I get that. Yeah.
But that's a striking thing is that some of these talking they show on the show when he's interviewing Ed Kemper, he's like, I'm having difficulty, aligning you with the acts you committed, because he's just this polite, oh, hello, would you like some coffee? And it's like, dude, this guy killed, 6, 7 women.
Another great example of that
had sex with
Bill
their
Cosby.
heads.
Like Bill Cosby did so
America's
much
dad
stuff,
and a
during
rapist.
his life. But yet what he did personally is so grotesque at the same time. And everyone knows it's real.
And it's disgusting that they let him out.
And he's totally been exonerated. Wow.
Not exonerated. He's been let out on a technicality. He was
and the judge says they will not try him again.
Well, they can't.
For those crimes. It just means that more women have to come forward and accuse him of other ones that he's committed.
That the statute of limitations haven't run out on. That's the problem. Most of the people that testified, the statute of limitations are up. Yeah. But at least he was found guilty by legitimate means, just that it doesn't hold due to technicality, but he was still, at least he's been revealed for what he is publicly.
Yes. Yeah, and in fact, someone was saying, there was a posting, something like, would you go to a Bill Cosby concert? And one of my friends just said, hell no!
No.
With anger. And I kind of go, do you think at 83 he's going to be doing a concert?
He's planning on doing some kind of another tour or something. He is, actually. He has, whether it'll materialize or not.
Who's going to back him up? Right?
I don't know. But
how many
go ahead,
jobs
Gothard.
is O.J. Simpson getting?
If you are a woman in the Brattleboro, Brattleboro, Vermont to Shelburne, Massachusetts to Greenfield, Massachusetts area, and you see Bill Cosby in a bar, just leave. Don't take a drink. Just leave.
Yeah.
Because he has a house near there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, if he's
word to the wise.
Sure.
No, not a guy to drink with. Well, here's the thing.
To be in the same bar with,
Sure.
Oi kind of saying what I was trying to say. Well, here's the thing. He was let loose based on a technicality, but the evidence remains he is a rapist. Yeah, he was found guilty of rape in a legitimate trial that, due to a technicality, shouldn't have been allowed to take place due to a prior agreement, which I think it's debatable whether or not that should have been. But that's...
and to me, the thing that's wrong, okay, so the judge says you're not allowed to retry him.
Right.
That would be double jeopardy. Yet, if during the trial they declared a mistrial, then they would just come up with a new jury and just do a reset.
Which I think they had to do at some point. He was tried twice already, as it was.
Yeah.
Oi, writing in, no, you can stay in the bar, just don't take any pudding pops he tries to offer. My recommendation, get out of the bar.
Yeah, that's just easier.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just leave the bar. I mean,
well, it's not just offering pudding pops. He's dropping things in people's drinks.
Nice.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, of course.
But it doesn't matter
and then again,
a perfectly good IPA or a cocktail or a water. Just leave the bar.
Yeah.
if you're in that demographic he goes after, just leave.
I gotta say, even the thing I find most disappointing about the whole Bill Cosby thing was whether or not he stayed in jail or now he's being let out. I think it's a huge injustice and really sick and disgusting. Sure. But even with the guilty finding, the sad thing is he got away with it for most of his life. The only thing we can take away from him is a few elderly years with bad vision and declining health.
He was in prison for what, 6 to 8 years or something?
The only thing that can be taken away from him
of Disco Bill.
yeah, the only thing that can be taken away from him is his worst years. He got away with it scot-free for most of his life and lived it up, and that can't be taken away from him. So that's the sad injustice.
There's a whole new meaning to family values, right?
Okay.
That was the line.
Okay.
You know, from the
Gators,
TV shows.
You want an
he was always
copy of
promoting.
Disco
Bill?
Yeah, okay, all right. If you can slip it to me when no one's watching. No one's really tuned in today anyways to hear me say that. I mean, he's not getting royalties on that anymore. I've not thrown out all my Bill Cosby albums. I'll admit I don't listen to them, but I'm not throwing them out. It wouldn't accomplish anything, but I think Gothard froze.
Hey, Gothard.
He's still laughing about my reaction there. Anyways, yeah. So
yeah, we could put some Bill Cosby's albums. Oh, he's double imaged.
Yeah, because
cool.
he came back in
after it crashed.
Oi, Radigan, don't move if you love Bill Cosby's drink. Will you type that in with your stuck image still up there?
That was quick thinking. Yes. Yes.
So.
And went away. Phew. Saved by the crash.
Saved by the crash. There we go. So Gothard and I have both had our birthdays this past week. So how was your birthday, Gothard?
It was good.
That's good.
Went out for some Italian food.
Oh, good.
Bought beer, drove to the shore.
That's even better.
Yeah.
I can say from experience of spending a birthday at the shore, it's a nice experience.
Yeah. No, it's
how far is the shore for you?
For me? Or for Gators?
Yeah. For me, Gothard.
When I was living in southern Vermont, it was about 2.5 to 3 hours. Now it's about. But now that
you're back in Maine, you're in Maine now, right?
Yeah.
Yep, it's about 8.5 to 10
hours.
Yes.
Mid-coastal Maine's up there. I mean, once you've crossed the Maine border, it's another 2.5, 3 hours.
You don't have a shoreline really close, like an hour away.
Well, I guess you could drive to Acadia, and there's some coast, and there's a section of Sandy Beach there, and also there's Old Orchard Beach. I guess Brian's asking what would be a drive to just a local beach in general for you.
Surrey, I think, is the closest beach.
Yeah,
there's a little sandbar.
Or is there a beach that's on a river? You know, where they brought in the Red October.
The Red October, yes, that's right. No.
Because I want to see that boat. Wait a minute, that might be fiction. Yeah, Red October, yeah.
Red October didn't come in here. The boat that showed up was down near Tennant's Harbor, and it was a Nazi U-boat back in the World War II.
Well, but I was talking about the nuclear sub that the Russians made that's fictional.
That didn't show up here. And I don't know of it being around here.
And again, it's fictional, so we could just say anything we want.
That's
because
true.
In the movie, which I watched recently, they show it going up a river in Maine, but they don't really find. Well, they may even say the name of the river, but
that's right. I forgot. They turned it into a bar restaurant.
There you go. See, that would.
Okay.
There you go. And Bill Cosby would be banned, right?
Bill
Cosby is banned, and I'll tell you what. Because it is a Russian U-boat, and recently Maine has discovered that you can make vodka out of potatoes, and Maine is the second largest potato grower in the nation. They have decided to make an all vodka bar. So every cocktail there is based off vodka, martinis, so on.
And
Cool.
rumors of radiation leaking
and
is
the
not
special
true.
every day is borscht. Yeah, every day is borscht.
Yeah.
So question
caviar.
So question for Gothard and Oi. Have either of you gotten your copies of this yet?
No.
Aww.
What is it? What is it?
It is a 5-record box set, vinyl box set of soundtrack to the Zappa documentary.
Ooh. I watched the documentary, but is there anything special that's on the soundtrack? That's like not available, or is it just kind of like a compilation of his stuff?
I think there's some. I mean, it's a compilation, but it's an interesting compilation. I don't think there's anything that unobtainable, but maybe things that have not made it to vinyl yet. I got to find the description again. It looked worthwhile having, so I bought it. Not to mention,
how much have you listened to so far?
I just arrived today. I was a little late ordering it. So a birthday gift to me.
So we'll get some clips in some future episode.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. But let me. The description I think gives. I mean, a lot of it is previously released stuff, so it's basically a Zappa collection. But
talking about clips, I did like the earthquake clip that you made.
Oh yes, that was cool. Great. That was really cool. The delayed reaction, your really startled reaction.
Right. Although kind of looking at, I'm not really seeing much in the way of shaking.
No, that's the thing. It didn't
just
shake.
Me shaking.
You shook in response. You had
and then I said, oh, having the few second forewarning of it coming didn't really help.
Yeah. Let's see. The perfect complement to the film. Let's see. 69 total songs, 12 previously unreleased recordings from archive, along with the 1978 Saturday Night Live performance. 24 additional Zappa songs from the catalog spanning 4 decades, song from Zappa's label Straight Bizarre Records, 2 classical compositions by Edgar Varese and Igor Stravinsky, and 26 original score cues newly composed by John Frizzle for the documentary. So it's an interesting collection, and there is some uniqueness there. Of course, the 12 previously unreleased recordings are probably mostly just live things that haven't made their way out of the vault yet.
The Stravinsky, is that In-A-Gadda-Stravinsky?
No, In-A-Gadda-Stravinsky was a Zappa composition. This actually includes, let's see, it includes Ionization by Varese. Let's see if I can find what it includes by Stravinsky. The Firebird Suite finale. So, I mean, it includes, I think it includes like a GTO song. It includes it might include something from one of the first Alice Cooper albums on there as well. But a lot of it is stuff that was from the albums. Like it's got songs from Freak Out on here. It's got some live stuff. Oh, in the Sky. Stuff that was released on the mystery disc. Which that's available. The Captain's Fat Teresa Shoes by the GTOs. No Longer Umpire, which is from the Alice Cooper Pretties for You album. I'll be giving it a listen tomorrow while I work. Anyways, don't know if Oi got it though, or maybe he's ordering it now.
I get a new ad because my iPad apparently had frozen on Twitch, so I just stopped it and restarted it without leaving the app. So we got a Best Buy ad.
Oh, so now we're brought to you by Best Buy. All right, we got to update the ad bar.
Maybe thanks Best Buy. We had to restart because Twitch crashed or something.
Brought to you by Best Buy and the Twitch crashing. And let's not forget, you can follow us on Twitter.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. And this is an example of a banner. Click on a banner to show my favorite banner.
See, we're teaching people even how to use the tools.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, no. I go away for 5 minutes and we're down to tech support.
Oh, it's funny. Today, maybe, I don't know if I'm going to, I'll tell the story. So today,
it's just lagged badly.
Kristen has like a dock port replicator type thing that's USB for a laptop that allows her to easily split the laptop up to connect multiple monitors and have more USB ports and things like that. And then today she goes, "Oh, it's a good thing I didn't cancel the stream for today because I can't get the monitors working on my docking station." I'm like, "Oh, that's too bad." I'm like, "Well, I might have to look at that." She goes, No, you don't need to. I'm going to try a few things. I'm reading a few things." I'm like, "Well, you didn't buy it that long ago. If anything, you should be able to check with the manufacturer support. They should be able to help you out." And so she upstates me a few times. She's like, "Well, I tried a few things and now it's worse." And then at some point she came down, she goes, "Oh, I got it working again. I unplugged it and plugged it back in."
Standard Microsoft reboot, right?
I was like, that's the first thing I would have done. and she agreed that yes, that's the first thing she should. Well, the thing is a docking station like that, you don't think of it in the same terms as a computer, but in reality you should. And it doesn't have a lot of them don't have power buttons on them, so the only way you can really do a reboot or a restart the cycle or whatever when it's malfunctioning is to literally pull the power cord and plug it in, which is not as intuitive an action as restarting or turning it off and back on. But that is such a common thing for docking stations. Yeah?
They do make those old-fashioned, like, power strip things that you used to fit underneath your monitor that had little light-up switches on them. It could turn on and off each individual one. So you might get one of those, and then you can be like, I can turn it off and then reboot it.
Yeah. Or
it'll make
I
it
just
feel
bought
better.
from Amazon a single switch, a little box that has a plug and a jack and a switch on it.
Or we can get one of those smart outlets, and then you can voice command Alexa to turn the dock off and back on.
Oh, yeah.
Don't say her name in vain. Please don't. She might do something.
Yes.
No, that's okay. Brian's is called computer.
Yes. Computer, turn off the studio lighting.
See,
computer, turn on the studio lights.
Asshole, personally.
That's not one of the options. You can be either Alexa, computer, or
asshole.
They should
the third one.
They should let you put anyone you want.
Oh, absolutely.
I would put asshole.
Yeah.
It would just be so much better because you're already practically yelling it at her anyway.
I think Mars would say, "Shut up!" Right?
Yes, that is what Mars yells at his Alexa.
Alexa, shut up!
See, you wouldn't even have to say Alexa.
See, he says shut up, but there's a word that rhymes with runt that begins with a C that usually shuts her up pretty quick. You usually get this follow prompt that goes doo-doo, like immediately.
Alexa, shut up!
Say that word at any moment. She just goes doo and then stops.
It's just like, that's it. I'm done.
I warn you, I have noticed the programming. If you say it enough times, she acts even more quirky. So I think there is some algorithmic programming that says if you use that word too much, they kind of punish you.
I did accidentally activate it on something, and I basically yelled at it, and I don't remember because it's been a long time. I think it apologized. Why can't we get that about Microsoft Vista?
Rare occasion, it does apologize, but most of the time, no apologies. It just goes, "Sorry, I'm not able to understand." Like.
So the funniest thing that happened to me, this is driving with a Garmin, and so in the Bay Area, you've got the Cul-de-Sac tunnel that has 3 bores, and the center one changes directions depending on traffic. So in the morning, it's inbound, in the evening, it's outbound. Anyway, so I was driving inbound, and I think this was late in the day when the boar was in my direction. And I took the center bore. I got into the tunnel, and it told me to turn around. And then when I got out of the tunnel, it kind of paused and trying to figure what the hell just happened. It didn't even bother to say recalculating. It just kind of continued going. Okay, we're just continuing. If it could put on a red face, I'm sure that would have been.
Yeah.
You know what my personal favorite screw up on electronic devices is the Apple Watch Health app, because you get it set to remind you to stand up. Inevitably, it will tell me to stand up when I'm doing 65 miles an hour plus on the
highway. So it kind of forgot
built-in
to check
GPS can figure out I'm going way faster than a human can possibly run, and says I need to stand up.
Right. Well, what if you're walking down the street? Would it still tell you to stand up? I'm sorry, I'm walking. I'm not standing. Right.
Sometimes it does that too. It's stupid.
Yeah. Well, speaking of technology, we had a successful technology upgrade here, because we left the cats here alone, driving down to the shore Wednesday with the plans to drive back today.
Have you gotten an automatic cat feeder yet?
Well, we have the gravity powered automatic cat feeder. The dispenser that you just.
I'll send you a link to a fun one.
Well, the thing is we only do that if we're away, because we tried setting that up and just letting the cat feed themselves crunchies whenever they want to, and this little piggy would just constantly want to eat crunchies, but she always wants someone to watch her eat crunchies, so she'd always be meowing at us to come watch her eat crunchies and then make herself puke and then put on weight.
A Furbo.
So we went back to meal times, and we only put out the dispenser when we leave. So basically, hey, we're gone. No, go ahead, eat all the crunchies you want.
This is better. I got one that is so much fun. It's one of those. It connects to smart stuff, so you can Wi-Fi control it. So literally, it has a built-in camera. It dispenses food. It has a microphone, which is really fun. And you can just tell it to dispense like how many, servings, like 1 to like 10 or something. And it is so much fun to be like somewhere else and be like, you want to see the cats? And just dispense like one thing of it. And then all of a sudden, because it's like an infrared camera, you see like 2 eyes like this. And they're like this, and then they come over, and then you just see their bodies like.
I agree. That sounds like fun, but my issue with that is I'd much rather have food out where they could get it rather than something that relies on technology for them to continue getting food. Because if the thing malfunctions while I'm 5 hours away in Jersey, then
when would that ever happen, right?
All the fucking time.
Right.
Never.
But take a look at the.
It's perfect.
Take a look at the link that I posted there.
So
in the summertime, I don't have to worry because they can just dine out.
It's pretty much the same thing as he was talking about. It spits out a food pellet. I could consider buying one of those just for the novelty of checking in on our pets while we're away. But I wouldn't use that as
$170 could be used better elsewhere, right?
Exactly.
$170.
But
this one's like $40.
Oh,
they're cheap.
Okay, this one's the deluxe model.
The deluxe model. No, what I did, because the one thing that we didn't have was a self-cleaning litter box. We were basically relying on them to keep using.
What is it? The pet robot or something?
So we bought a self-cleaning litter box. And no, we didn't buy the robot one. I've heard stories about cats getting injured by those.
That would be nasty.
I bought a really cheap one that basically has like the grid that sifts through the crystals after use. And it has a counter on it, so it's been used 25 times while we were gone. But we left the normal litter boxes up too, so that
how is it triggered?
Weight or sensor? I don't know.
See, I can monitor
or like
the cat food.
Does it know when the cat leaves the box?
If the sensor is still being triggered, it won't run, and it basically sets itself to run 20 minutes after use.
Okay.
And even if the cat was in there, it's basically just a wire mesh thing that is pulled through, nothing that could do any damage. And the second something starts moving in the box, I think a cat would run. I think the worst thing that could...
Well, that's where you need that camera, right?
I think
climbs to the box, boom, out of there fast as a flash.
I think the worst thing that could happen is if it started moving while a cat was midstream and caused them to just leave a trail of yellow.
Yeah, that would work poorly. Yeah. Oh,
but I don't think that would happen. I think if it's smart enough to know when the cat's been in there, it's smart enough to know when the cat's still in there.
I think your cat's happy that you're home, though.
Oh, yeah. They were quite happy. Well, I'm glad we came back yesterday because we came back the night that a lot of loud explosions were happening. So at least we could kind of be around to help make that experience a little, because they were definitely spooked every time an explosion happened. And there was a lot of them happening. So I'm kind of glad we were able to kind of be here to at least provide some kind of comfort that, hey, we're under attack, but at least they're back.
Apparently in Concord, California, they had the commercial fireworks display going on, and one went awry and lit a field on fire.
Ooh.
They paused the show for the fire department to go in and take care of it, which was pretty rapidly, and then they resumed the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fire danger today is already very high.
I think one year there was a fireworks show. That's right. San Diego in 1 year had a problem that something set all of them to go off at once.
Oh.
which didn't... The only problem it caused was that all the fireworks were used up right away.
Yeah, that was one hell of a finale.
Yeah,
and an intro, right?
Yeah, it was one. It's interesting, but not nearly as good as a show would be. So I'm just going to go ahead and just. But I always remember that because you just see this nonstop fireball in the sky. So this would be a example of how not to do a fireworks show is what this would be.
Well, even worse, I forget where it was, but apparently was it an NFL player was hit by a fireworks mortar and was killed? I think it was this year.
But there it is. They all went off simultaneously. That's all of... What's that?
It's like a bigger version of when I took a bunch of those Morning Glory sparklers that had like little poppy things in them. That's just like this paper roll full of like gunpowder, basically, or various pyrotechnics. I took about 20 of those, cut off the ends, and drained them all into a big giant pile on a rock, and decided to set it on fire, and it burned a cave, like it burned a concave bowl into the rock. It was so hot.
Nice.
I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
That patch of lawn did not grow back for 4 years.
Oh.
Wow. But
that's why you're supposed to do it out on the street. So if you make a big hole, hey, no big deal. The city will come around and fill that pothole.
There you go. Problems
eventually.
Yeah, I wasn't living anywhere near a street like that, and kind of would cause attention if you did that where people are driving by.
Yeah, Maine doesn't exactly maintain their roads all that
and
well.
Suddenly there was a big giant critter.
Oh, it's one of the cats.
Oh, that's what that is.
One of the cats came in. One of the black cats.
So is there some pending announcement the cat wants, or just a little attention?
This cat wants attention.
So it's post-dinner.
It's post dinner. If I want it to go away, I'll just feed it remotely with my phone.
There you go.
It is funny though. You that noise. Basically, they're like ears go whoop, and whoop, 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 and then they just go for it. They know exactly what that sound is, and they're like food.
That's great. Usually they follow you to get food, but now you have a method to get them to go away to get food.
Yeah, well, it's, they were getting quite chubby. They were getting quite paunchy, and so I put them on an old wet food diet for about a month or two, and then I started introducing the dry food with the rationed, automated feeding system. I feed them twice a day with, an automated system.
They got so fat you had to rename them because they were Ethel and Mildred, right? Originally, the cats were named.
Now it's Muffins and Pound Cake.
Muffins and Pound Cake. from old ladies to fat nicknames.
Well, I was watching the campaign with Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis, and the pugs in that were named Muffins and Pound Cake. And I thought, these are a good name for these two portly cats that we have.
So if they lose enough weight, they'll have to go back to Ethel and Mildred.
One of them got so fat that her name was Fatty Magoo.
Well, my sister got 2 new puppies, and she named them Lucy and Ethel. And Lucy was the runt of the litter. So they're cute little things. And she closed on a house on her birthday this past Wednesday. And actually, both my sisters have bought new houses recently. So that's kind of fun how that turned out.
So you're kind of like the leader of the pack, right?
Technically, my brother owned a house before I did, but but then when things went south, that the house was sold, and so my brother's living in an apartment in Jersey City, which he's doing fine there. He's liking that, so yeah.
Shithole like it used to be.
What's that?
Is it still a ghetto? Is it still a ghetto shithole like it used to be?
It sounds like there's some up and coming areas there. So I think he's in a nice building there.
It's become somewhat gentrified from what I've heard.
Yeah, I believe so. He's walking distance from where he works. Yeah.
Unlike Newark.
Sometimes that can be a 4-letter word.
Yeah, it could be. It's all about doing things right. And I mean, the big thing is that there needs to be affordable housing. It
sure, no doubt about it.
It shouldn't have to be run down, but if you're going to build some good stuff, build some good cheap stuff too.
And some places do that, but yeah.
Well, you know me, I'm bleeding heart liberal. We should have better programs to better help people.
Sure.
And then we don't have to be debating these things.
Well,
should I tell you?
If you really want to do affordable housing better, you should make affordable housing that you get the discount if you work in the area that you need the affordable housing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So you're not
sure.
just bringing in poor people that are just. If you prove that you were working there, then you get a discount on this housing. Otherwise, you have to pay more. Which would keep people that are actually interested in the town, city, living there, rather than somebody that just comes in and just lives like it's project situation and fuck everything.
Okay.
Should I tell you guys about this homeless lady?
Okay.
And I'm hoping that Dune isn't listening.
He hasn't said anything so far.
Okay.
So
apparently in Monterey, California, there was this homeless lady that was living in her car. So the car was the home.
Okay.
And she went to every agency in the area, and she'd be this place, women's shelter, whatever. And eventually they would kick her out. like, we can't deal with you, right?
Okay.
So she befriended the people at this church. And this is, oh, okay, we'll let you park your car in the parking lot. And the church actually has a shower that you could use. Oh, no. The shower was at a local gym, and one of the members set up a gym membership for her where she could do the showering and stuff.
Right.
But there was a porta potty on the property, the church property.
Okay.
So she was all set, right? It took the true, and there have been tons of abuse that this woman dished out. So finally, the church decided to evict her, and it took them 2 years to make that happen. Apparently, currently, she's living at and someone gave her a Range Rover as a second vehicle to hold her crap. It's not like the lady with the shopping cart. She's got 2 cars now. And both of them were not operating.
Could anyone get her under a roof somehow? I mean...
Well, so after she left the church, she had the vehicles towed to a nearby... oh, crap. What's the name of the place that... Motel 6.
Okay.
I was going to say, keep the light on for you, right?
I'm sure they love that,
So, so she's been there. Nobody knows how she pays for it because she doesn't have much money.
Right. I mean, well, that's one of the things they say is that it is expensive to be poor. Yeah.
But here's the clitcher. She's a Trumpster. When the Trumpsters have their rallies, they're driving their cars around and whatever, the town. She joins them.
Mind you, she is someone that the system has completely failed, and Trump's big message is the system has completely failed you. I'm one of you. I'm gonna and so it makes sense that there are people from all walks of life that will
absolutely
eat that crap hook, line, and sinker.
Tons of people that have tempted to help her, and she has absolutely no gratitude whatsoever.
Well, that's sad. I don't know this person, but it sounds like
I don't know. I just heard the story.
She probably has lots of reasons to be angry. That's no excuse to not show gratitude towards people that help you. But Oi writing in, she went to Trump University, obviously.
There you go.
I'm sure they'll get that diploma right out to her.
Or maybe she went to a Trump's kindergarten.
Right out with some steaks from Trump Steaks.
Yes, and some Trump vodka in her paper bag. But Oi writing in,
more vodka-soaked steaks.
It's too bad you have all these good ideas. The politicians we vote for echo them and then use the money for something else and then tax us.
There you go. See, there you go.
I always feel like it's the politicians we vote for echo the ideas and then get blocked by the other side. But that's a two-way street.
But the funds that are meant for, the elderly and Medicare or Social Security are then stolen by various politicians.
Don't you love how, especially Republican politicians talk about, Social Security as if it's not money that is ours that we've already paid in. But it kind of
isn't.
But we pay into it. That's our money. That's the way it was supposed to be. But then they rob it.
Yes. Yeah.
They rob it, and then they talk about we can't afford this, and it's like, dude, that's what we paid into. We're not asking you to give us money. We're asking for our money back, and you're saying no, you can't afford to give us our money back. That sounds any other entity that would be criminal.
Well, but and Republicans have talked about, not lately, talked about privatizing Social Security. So you're putting money into something that will pay back and cannot be stolen.
It's a classic Republican
bankruptcy and moves on.
It's a classic Republican strategy. If you don't like the program, break it, and then point at it and say, "See, it's broken. We should just get rid of it." That's classic Republican.
Well, of course,
strategy.
then again, we all have a 401k, and if you look at recent maps that say, "Here's how much you need to retire," is your 401k at that level of where you want to live when you retire?
My 401k is somewhere below that level, but somewhere above the level that I see as average. So I feel like I'm doing better at being broke in my retirement than most people. So I've got that going for me.
Yeah.
My 401k will last me 1 month.
I keep trying to increase
now, have
that.
You been kicking money into
better.
Social Security? Because that is also based on what you are making.
Yes.
Now, Oi pointing out, or you could dip into Social Security like Pelosi and pay for failed impeachment investigations. Now, I will say, yes, I've called out Republicans, although I think Republicans have been the most vocal for wanting to do away with Social Security. But you're right, Oi. I should point out it's all politicians in general that are dipping into Social Security like it's their own personal, project money to throw wherever they want to, and it really.
And
needs
of course, the Republicans
it needs to stop on all sides of the aisle.
And of course, the Republicans had 60 different votes to eliminate Obamacare, and failed.
Mm-hmm.
The only way they managed to weaken it is that the court said, "Oh, this mandatory fee you pay if you don't have health insurance, that went away." And as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care.
I mean,
it seemed kind of dumb.
The thing
fine
is,
a person that can't afford health care.
We've fallen into this trap of criticizing the other side, though, which is so easy for me, you, everyone to fall into. Because Oi has pointed out, that Pelosi did that after I pointed out Republicans tried to get rid of Social Security, and then we're criticizing Republicans for wasting a bunch of effort to get rid of, try to get rid of Obamacare. But meanwhile, by doing that, they really drummed up support, and I think that's responsible for the big Republican win that Trump came in with. Swinging both houses and then getting the White House back. That was because, getting a bill on Obama's desk to get rid of Obamacare that he had to veto sent a clear message out to the voters. Your votes matter. And you've gotten us this far that we can get this on the desk of a president. Now put the right president in. Problem was, once they got the right president in, they couldn't repeat it because McCain put the no vote to that. But that did pay off for them, as much as we criticize them for it. That, I think, was a big,
And my only gripe with the Republicans, as I was one at that time, is they offered no alternative to Obamacare.
Well, they couldn't agree on one, which is why no one came up with any medical plan in years after Clinton failed at it, because no one could agree on anything.
Well, even when Mitt Romney was running, Mitt Romney could not. There was one time where he said, "Here's the difference between Obamacare and what Massachusetts got," because he was part of that.
Right.
He could have expanded on that and used that part of his campaign, and that might have pushed him over the top.
Well, the big difference...
Not the Republicans like that Mormon guy anyway.
Anyways, Gothard, do you want to say something?
So, speaking of religious things, so the exemption that has gone through with the Affordable Care Act, because everyone says Obamacare or Trump care, depending upon who's in it, and now it's Biden care. Who cares? It's the Affordable Care Act, and how it's been kind of watered down a little bit is that there's an exemption now for religious entities.
Last Week Tonight covered this. You saw that.
Yes, it's fun, but it's so much fun because basically they're selling it to a bunch of Christians as, fuck you, Obamacare. You're sticking it to them, and it's only like $3 a month or something. And then when you go to use it, it's like that Monty Python skit where it's
the no claim policy.
You got the no claim policy. It's perfectly fine unless you want to claim it. But the thing is that they're exempt from things like pre-existing conditions, and things that are pre-existing conditions are things like drinking, smoking, being gay, being lesbian, having probably like white shoes, wearing white after Labor Day. I mean, there's like a raft of things that they consider like pre-existing conditions that basically make it impossible for you not to have a pre-existing condition. So you're basically saying, I don't have to pay in, I'm exempt from this mandatory thing, but you're essentially without health care. You're paying out of pocket.
Yeah, it is not health care, and they specifically say it's not health care. But it's basically, if a church wanted to have their own kind of thing that they contribute towards and then cover people's expenses, and for some reason that was exempted into, you know what? I think the reason that got exempted is because like the Amish and the Mennonites use things like that.
Yeah.
People that are off the grid, isolated from society.
But then they exploited it. You know, it's like
it was
like
right.
Because the argument was like, it has to be a religious entity that's been recognized for over like 50 years or something. And so all these new churches are like, well, we're Christians, so that's been around for 2,000 years. Right.
And it I think it was intended to it was intended to be that the care agreement or entity had to be in existence before that cutoff date. But now since they're tied themselves to the church, and the churches have existed forever, legally they could just start one. But the big thing is that they're driven by morality. So that means like someone got injured when they were at a bar, which, you know, a lot of people who are religious might go to a bar for a drink. It's a perfectly innocent thing. It doesn't mean that
you may go to a bar just for the burgers and drink,
exactly.
You know, Coke.
Go to a bar and grill.
You can go to a bar and grill and drink just water.
But their claim to this entity for like they were injured, like they fell down or something like that. Something happened that they were injured at the bar.
Well, you sue the bar.
And well, is the bar responsible?
You ate the wrong thing during Lent.
They made a claim, and the claim was denied because you should not have been at that type of an environment, or you know, basically what it came down to was stuff, bad things that come to you due to your own lack of morality. That's on you. Don't come to us.
See, this is where you. So wait a second. I have to have this claim. When I was living in Massachusetts, I'd go to bars with my brother, and there was this one bar that we would go to. I'm thinking it was called the Purple Onion or something.
Let's call it Cheers.
And in this bar was a lady from the Salvation in full uniform.
Mm.
I don't know what she was really doing there. She wasn't drinking. I think she was making a statement that whatever. What if she got hurt? Would she get covered in healthcare because she was on a mission from God, right?
I don't know. That's up to the entity. I mean, if she was there doing God's work, then they probably would cover her. But like I said, basically the point is that they can cover and deny anything they want to cover and deny. Right. You know, that because it's not health coverage. It's a group of people that pool together a bunch of money and then decide who they're going to help out with it or not. That's what it is. That's not insurance. That's a community, and that's fine. But that should not be allowed as a replacement to the requirement for insurance. If we're going to require insurance with the regulations that they can't pull the pre-existing
although I'm
conditions
perfectly fine with. This is insurance policy, plan that you can go with. If you don't want to participate, that's fine. It's just that when you come to the hospital emergency room, you're going to have to pop out your credit card.
Well, what happens
after all? In most states, you can say, I don't need to buy an auto insurance policy because I'm self-insured. I don't know how to set that up or whatever, but I believe that can happen.
No, the problem with that argument, I mean, you're making the argument that if you don't want health insurance, you should be allowed to not have health insurance. And I get that argument. I get it. The problem with that argument is that it's not that simple, because then you run into the problem where someone comes to a hospital that has a serious problem that's very expensive and they can't pay for it. And it doesn't matter how many bills you send them. They can't pay for it. Now the hospital's on the hook for that money. And now that goes to their collections department. And now that throws the hospitals in debt. And then that drives up the prices for everyone else. But if you mandate everyone has health insurance, there's less people that are going to show up that have nothing.
The answer to that is no, because not everything is covered, even though it should be.
Well, that's where we should
The Affordable
have
Care Act
everything
still
covered.
does not work.
The Affordable Care Act was a step in the right direction. You're right. It still has problems, but it was a step in the right direction.
So you have to buy into a failed system.
Basically.
Has it really failed us? We're in a better position than we were before.
There are people that think that it failed, which is why they don't want it. I happen not to be one of them. Well, heck, I'm on Medicare anyway.
You're arguing against it, though, so...
Well, I'm against them. I'm just not for the mandatory option.
But the mandatory option was what made it possibly work.
If you're too stupid to have health insurance, you deserve what you get or don't get.
But the reason...
It's as simple as that.
The reason for the mandate was because without the mandate, you would have more young people opting out of it, and then it wouldn't... The principle was more people pay in than it can pay out.
Yeah.
Look, I'll tell you.
And again, I don't care.
The only reason I argue for the mandate is because the mandate was brought in as a part of it. Now, if you asked me years ago, do you think
that's actually because pharmaceuticals and whatever that wanted to charge anything they want was all for it. They want to pull in as much money as possible.
Let me tell you,
them, not for the patient.
If you ask me blindly, should something be mandated, I'd probably say no. And if you start getting into reasons, I'd probably be a fence sitter. And so the health insurance mandate, I'm probably somewhere in the middle on that. I understand why you shouldn't jump into a mandate to purchase something from the government. But I also understand why it makes sense in this case. Mind you, I'd rather see a nationalized healthcare option. I'd rather see a public option than a mandate. That's what I'd rather see. That's what I wanted. I didn't want what Obamacare came up with.
Probably would be better.
I felt like the mandate was part of a compromise that I was okay with. That's my position on the mandate.
Although since I've been on Medicare for a while, that is no picnic either.
Yeah, that sucks.
I have supplemental insurance. Okay, and I have a big chunk of money that I send to Medicare, even though I've been paying into it for 40 years. What the hell is that worth?
Yeah,
apparently nothing.
If you've paid into it...
I should have worked under the table for 40 years.
So you paid into it, and now you still have to pay for it?
Absolutely.
See, that is wrong. That is
the premium is... You can look this up. The premium for Medicare is based on your current income. Maybe I should be working under the table today. Wait a minute. Most of my income is investments.
Wait a minute. Basically, you still have to pay into it while you're working.
No. Well, yes, you pay into it while you're working, and once you're on Medicare, you're still paying a premium.
But the premium's based on your income, right?
That's correct.
So you're retired, so your income is zero.
It is not zero. I have a lot of investments, and my bracket is actually quite high.
Okay, so you have a high premium because you're still doing well.
Yeah, but how is that fair?
It's a tax.
And you pay a lower tax for no apparent reason.
Taxes are a progressive system. It ain't exactly fair, but it is,
right.
But a flat tax would not raise enough tax funds for what we need to do.
But
so
it is a premium.
Taxes are...
It is a premium.
Well, it's kind of...
So if I opted out of Medicare, which I could do, then it could be zero. So it's not really a tax. It's a participation fee, just like insurance is.
It's a tax in the same sense that the
and then on the other side, when you pay,
let me finish my thought. It's a tax in the same sense that the Obamacare mandate was classified a tax by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I suppose. But the other. Well, see, I lost what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, but I did want to finish my half sentence. Yeah. But
not
no,
was important.
I'll agree with you though that does suck that you have to pay a high premium because your investments are doing good.
Yeah.
But especially when it was a system you paid into, and I do think that maybe an audit of Medicare should be done because if you're paying into a system, shouldn't you get that value out of it or be able to?
Well, exactly. Here's what I was going to say. If you work for a company, whether you're pushing a broom or you're the CEO, should there be, in other words, your income is hugely different. Should your premium be different because one guy makes more money? It's just an insurance person on a human being. Whatever the role he is.
I see. Yeah. You're right in that usually healthcare premiums don't vary depending on your income, and so that's a uniqueness to Medicare.
Right.
And that is something that I learned today. But I understand that's why I said it's like a tax because they're treating it like a tax.
Yeah, because it's income tax is based on your income.
It's an income tax for Medicare that they call a premium, and does.
Thanks for setting it up that way, Lyndon Johnson.
Okay, so that sucks, and that should change.
Yeah,
but then again, the whole Medicare for All plan means that we would all pay premiums on a sliding scale if they ever went that route,
based on income, right?
Based on income,
right.
And
so I get to pay for poor people that way.
Well, that's how taxes work,
right?
It's a progressive tax system.
It could be worse,
but if it was a flat tax system across the board, and you were taxing somebody like Bezos, who makes so much more money, like it would take like 60 million Bryans to equal.
Do you think Bezos? Well, first of all, we don't know exactly what Bezos has as income since he pays very little taxes.
Basically, we should close the loopholes so that Bezos do have to pay their fair tax in our system.
But most of his is unrealized gain, which is not taxable.
Yeah.
He could be worth $1 trillion. What does it matter? He's not taking that home as income. Now, some of his investments are probably paying dividend.
Yeah.
But he has ways to shield it, probably.
See, if we didn't have so many people shielding their incomes, we'd probably have enough tax income to cover this stuff.
Okay, so we'll start. We're started off. We'll take away your 401k.
What's that?
We'll take away your 401k.
Where does that come from? I'm not
That's
sure
how. That's shielded income. That's shielded income.
I'm not saying all shielded incomes across the board. I'm just saying that.
Oh, you said shielded income. That's all. I thought you meant all.
I'm saying that all the ways that the rich get away with not paying taxes, we should come up with ways to do away with that. And I'm not saying just take all their money for being rich.
I know. But let's put a really high tax on space tourism.
There we go.
There we
Perfect.
go.
You got it.
Perfect. Right. They'll find a loophole for that too.
Now, they did.
I'll get my sister to buy me the ticket and then give it to me.
You know what we need is basically a overly expensive toll booth for going into outer space and coming back.
So you know what happened when they decided to tax these big yachts?
What's that?
You know what happened?
What happened?
They all moved offshore.
Yeah. The manufacturers all moved offshore.
Well, but
overnight.
But there's things we can do about that.
No, you can't. It's not even. It's not even in the U.S.
But in order to trade with the U.S., it's still got to come through us some way at some point.
No, you can buy them in another country and then sell them here.
But then you got to import it here, and you can tax them for that.
If it's
still cheaper,
a lot of it is also state tax.
Not if you raise the import fees or the registration taxes.
But also a lot of it is state tax. So if you're in California, where the tax on a big boat would be expensive, you buy it in state of Washington. I think you have to park it there for a year, and then you're free to move anywhere you want.
See, all this loophole bullshit. We just need to get a government that has the balls and not stand for this shit. Because that's all it turns into. If you do that, then they'll do this.
What can anybody do about that? Okay. I also know people.
I've named things that we could do about it.
I know people.
You get them somewhere else. If you're not going to get them there, you get them somewhere else. It's got to come here eventually.
I know people that have moved to Nevada from California to avoid the state income tax on their retirement. But all I can say is go enjoy Reno.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's on you if you want to do that. How's that working for the? I mean, and you know what? If you want to avoid retirement tax,
we have water
here. No, you don't. Uh-huh.
If you want to avoid retirement tax by moving to moving to the middle of the fucking desert after a lifetime of paying income tax in one state, okay,
play desert bus.
Have fun with that.
Or if you want to keep your AR-15, you're going to have to move to Idaho.
It's basically we've given up. The rich are going to dodge the taxes some way. So why should we? Whereas it really should be a system where it's like they're going to get it somewhere. So why should we bother trying to dodge it? If we just stopped, this whole turning a blind eye to the loopholes and not doing anything to fix it, then people keep dodging it.
How do you fix it when you're crossing state lines? I don't know. I have no idea. No idea.
I mean,
does it need to be fixed?
Well, certain things do. It's the offshore stuff that I'm really pissy about. That people just move money offshore and then tax free. I don't have to pay taxes. But you got to pay it to bring it back.
Technically, that is taxable, but they get away with it because they can't do anything about it.
Well, that's
and
where
granted, they have done some things to stop that, but it's almost not stoppable. You say, the Cayman Islands is no longer protecting you, so move your money to another place that it still is.
Well, you got to just keep squeezing the system until eventually it's not worth playing this game anymore.
Right.
Just pay your fair share that we're going to get it somehow anyways.
That's right.
That's why it's trickled down to property tax.
Which is a total regressive tax.
Oi writing in, the politicians wouldn't benefit if there weren't loopholes. People McConnell and Schumer who are millionaires with a $200K yearly income. Yeah.
Of course.
Well, that's where we need to get the term limits, and we need to get these these assholes out. And I'd be fine with both McConnell and Schumer needing to go. Obviously, I dislike one of them more than the other, but I think I could agree that they're both probably not people I'd want to sit down for a beer with. But Oi also pointed out really the bottom line much earlier in this conversation. The bottom line is the two-party system is total shit, which is what makes me so sad that the ranked choice voting in New York was botched so badly that now everyone is mocking the ranked choice system when that's really the system that that we should be using.
In a democracy, pretty much.
That's because New York fucked it up. Mainz had no problem with the ranked choice vote.
No, exactly. But it's become a punchline to jokes now, and now people are treating ranked choice voting as if it was this horrible idea that was destined to fail because it's way too confusing. And I'm like, no, come on,
no, it's not.
Damn you, New York!
Not. Yeah.
Why did you fuck this up so bad?
And the only thing that's a joke in Maine politics is Susan Collins. and she won with both ranked choice voting and normal voting.
But she's very concerned. She's very concerned, but clearly she hit the nail on the head when she pointed out that Trump learned his lesson.
Have they asked her to take some cognitive tests?
Gators, did you see that clip I sent you?
Which one?
Of the Hall & Oates song? Because basically, Susan Collins is that Hall & Oates song, What I Want.
Oh my God! That is yes. That is. I'm bringing that up right now. I don't know if we could say that on Twitch, but we'll find out. But yes.
Well, it's near the end of the show, so if it cuts it out,
You're a cunt.
I think that was that sums up our feelings about Susan Collins right there.
Yeah,
but she's very concerned. Very concerned.
She's so sweet.
She's very concerned.
So that one I've gotten Mike to pass around the OR system, the hospital system. So now it's basically it will be a running joke whenever anyone wants to basically say that about a patient. They can just play Hall & Oates, and everyone knows what you mean, except for the patient.
Let me see. I think someone put together a montage of all the times Susan Collins talked about being very concerned.
Oh my God! And now this is probably it.
Let me see if I can find it.
Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine is up for re-election, and she is in trouble. Back in October 2018, after
I wish she really was in trouble, but she wasn't.
No, she's not.
Wishful thinking.
See,
Second district. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I can't.
By the way, the second district is where all the unvaccinated people are in the state, so don't go there.
Senator Susan Collins, you aren't doing the job we elected you to do. While Mainers and the American people demand evidence, witnesses, and answers to Trump's corrupt.
Okay, that's not.
That's a political ad.
At some point, I think Andy posted a link to something that basically had a montage of Susan being very concerned.
I will say, the peninsula that I'm on is now up to like 85% vaccinated.
Wow.
So I'm in a nice little bubble. The rest, you go north of here, it's like 25%.
Have you seen the Alaska, the tourism ad by the governor of Alaska?
No.
He's claiming that Alaska is the most vaccinated state in the nation.
I'd believe it.
I could buy that. I mean, Alaska is a red state, but I think they're probably one of the more reasonable side of, they probably don't have that loony fringe.
They do, but it just depends upon whether they believe that.
Right. I could see them being the sensible vaccine. I mean, what?
Some people that are out in the bush probably are not vaccinated,
right.
But who cares?
They're so far away.
They're self-isolated.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the argument for northern Maine, too. They're self-isolated.
Yeah.
Just don't go there.
Just don't
stay on the coast.
Yeah, because they're going to be there with a shotgun. That's their...
they're there anyway.
Their isolation, or AK-47. Or is that legal there?
Probably.
Oh, did you hear about this story about this...
Maine and Vermont are
group of 11
like...
people in, I think it was Western Massachusetts, that were stopped and arrested. They were traveling from Maine to... maybe New Jersey for some training.
That wasn't Western. That was like northeastern Massachusetts, I believe.
Oh, in Eastern.
Oh, was that the one that closed down the highway?
Yeah, I read about it.
And these guys ran into the woods for some reason?
No, that was practically Boston. I mean, that was north of Boston.
The north of Boston. Okay. 95, like where 95 and 93 meet north of Boston.
Were the police basically reenacting the law that's on the books in Massachusetts that if you have an unregistered gun, it's a mandatory year in prison?
I haven't really read up on this, so I don't know All I know is that the 95 was closed for a period of time due to some kind of run-in of some sort.
Which I laughed because it was like the big holiday weekend, so it must have made things a real clusterfuck.
Yeah.
For all those people from Massachusetts either going to Provincetown or Maine.
Yeah. And they were arrested. I'm not quite sure what charges. I don't know. There was some weapons charge for unregistered, but they live in Maine. They're going to New Jersey, right?
Right.
You're just driving through.
Right.
Well, what, you know what, since you seem to have questions, let's see if I can bring up the story.
Which is amusing because Mike being from Kentucky, his father at some times would bring up like either a rifle that was a family heirloom, along with some moonshine, and they'd be driving through places like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Massachusetts, New York. And we're just like, if you got pulled over and discovered what you have, I mean, technically, they didn't bring any shells or anything with them, so they're totally loaded weapons.
Right.
And moonshine is technically illegal, but I mean, honestly, it's fucking moonshine. But it's one of those technicalities,
Yeah.
Well, how
somebody wanted to nail your ass to the wall.
I couldn't even tell you how many people in Connecticut would drive to Massachusetts to buy up on cigarettes because the taxes were less there.
Well, here's another example of how you could still, stick it to someone. OX64 writing in one word response, Murica. I remember there was a story back a while ago in New Jersey where people discovered that they could evade the New Jersey state tax on cigarettes by buying them online. Now, the thing is that this didn't actually restrict their requirement to pay taxes on those cigarettes. It just caused them to buy cigarettes in a way that tax wasn't automatically collected on them. So they were still obligated to pay tax on those cigarettes. The question comes down to, is that enforced or not? And what a lot of people found out that spent a year buying cartons of cigarettes online to evade the state tax on cigarette purchases was that the state of New Jersey sent them a bill at the end of the year.
Oh no.
And I don't know if...
When I was in Singapore, I bought a computer, sent it to my brother in Connecticut, and then later I got a bill from the state of Connecticut saying I owe taxes on it because Newegg reported me.
Well, Newegg reported the purchase.
Well, they reported all these purchases, and Connecticut went through the records to figure out who they can send a bill to.
And I think if a state has a tax policy that you're obligated to pay tax under certain circumstances, then there shouldn't be a problem. You shouldn't have a problem with these things being reported for enforcement.
Why didn't Newegg tax me when I placed the order?
That is a valid question.
So you ordered through Newegg, but you had it sent to Connecticut.
Yes.
Okay.
And my home address was still in California, although I was in Singapore when I made the order. They didn't know that.
So,
yeah.
Well, I was just kind of curious if you had gotten it in Singapore and then shipped it yourself personally to Connecticut.
No.
Because that would
have been a way around, but then again, getting into Singapore would have been a problem.
OX64 writing in, Connecticut can send me a bill just like Iraq can send me a bill. I live in neither and won't be paying either. Although the question is that, do you live like me? I drive through Connecticut all the time. I don't want my name showing up on any bench warrant reports if I get pulled over while passing through.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if
it really wasn't a large amount, so I just paid it. Big deal.
Yeah, but you might have been. There should have been a. See, that's not the like you said, if you are required to pay a state sales tax based on delivery address, Newegg should have charged you that to start with. But
also here's the kicker. So then I paid it, and then there was a follow-up email from Newegg said, "Oh, we're sorry that we reported you." Hey, thanks, Newegg.
Sorry, not sorry. It's kind of
doesn't really help.
We're sorry, we had to. Sorry, we
actually they didn't, which is the surprising bit.
Huh. Anyways, going back to the standoff on 95 that you're asking all these questions about. The standoff began around 2 a.m. when police noticed 2 cars pulled over on I-95 with hazard lights on after they had apparently run out of fuel.
There's their mistake.
At least some of the suspects were clad in military-style gear with long guns and pistols. He added that they were headed to Maine from Rhode Island for training. You can imagine 11 armed individuals
going to Maine from Rhode Island?
Right.
Okay, I thought it was the other direction, but that's fine.
You can imagine 11 armed individuals standing with long guns slung on an interstate highway at 2 a.m. certainly raises concerns and is not consistent with the firearms laws that we have in Massachusetts. So, yeah, basically, their mistake was walking around a highway with guns,
long rifles,
with rifles,
and military-style garb,
right? And also not complying, and
they were black.
And not complying with gun laws. You know,
in Massachusetts, which is where they were not going. They were just driving through.
But you have to comply with the state's laws that you're going to drive through. I don't know what Massachusetts laws are on firearms, but if I lived in Rhode Island and was taking firearms to Maine, you'd bet I'd be reading up on that and figuring out what I need to do to comply on it.
But to me, the right thing to do for the police officer is to just let it go. And maybe suggest, you might want to put away those firearms.
Well, once again,
and you might want to, in the future, not wear military garb.
Well,
and maybe like who was the comedian?
Well,
maybe get a white guy in the car.
Well, here's the thing: we don't know what went down with that police confrontation. But you said something about reading about them running away. I think a bunch of people in military gear with guns that run away from the police does not put a police in a situation that they could comfortably say.
That was part of the good plan, right?
Yeah. That's not a situation where a police officer should say, "Oh, carry on, just put the guns away." Shout that out to them while they're fleeing? I mean, yeah.
Stupid is as stupid does, right?
OX64 saying, don't escalate the issue. Police escalate things a lot nowadays, and it's not necessary. I agree with that, but I don't know if that's what happened here. Let me read more, because it doesn't say how this went down.
Personally, I would just dress like a douchebag from Rhode Island. Your flip-flops, because it's summer. Flip-flops like... vintage Vines wear or Lacoste or something douchey like that.
And put your marijuana away.
Yeah.
Well, not even marijuana's not illegal in Massachusetts. You can have all the weed you want, truly. But if you are going to take your gun with you, put it in a briefcase.
Yeah.
Put it in
or the gun case.
Or get yourself a giant Louis Vuitton.
The men refuse
to put it in there. No one's going to question that.
The men refused to put down their weapons or comply with authorities' orders, claiming to be from a group, quote, that does not recognize our laws, unquote, before taking off into a wooded area.
Cops don't know.
Basically, the police drove up to investigate broken down cars on the highway, found people with guns and military gear that refused to follow their orders and ran off into the woods saying, we don't recognize your laws.
Their first mistake was not offering donuts and coffee.
I don't have a problem with the police's actions on this one.
Yes, that's right. Oh, we have donuts and coffee.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm sure Mars would approve as well.
Can you get us a lift to Dunkin'? We'll buy you a crawler.
Right.
You can't get crawlers anymore.
Yeah, you can.
Dunkin' did away with them. Assholes.
Oh,
Or
you
at
can
least
get the
around
French.
here they're not. I always
You can
ask.
get, you can
No,
get the
not
French
around here.
crawlers.
Nope.
French
I ask
crawler?
them every time. Nope. I go up. I ask for the French crawler, and then they're like, we don't have those. I'm like, what? And they're like, we don't have those. Well, I'm leaving.
We have them here.
This is
Wow,
just as bad
that
as
is
McDonald's not
surprising.
carrying the McRib, right?
Well, no, the French crawler is a staple donut of the Dunkin' variety. I have never in my life set foot in a Dunkin' Donuts and not seen French crawlers among the donuts.
You know,
in the back
and I
there.
can actually testify with you. I have never stepped into a Dunkin' Donuts. Period.
Yes. Well, fortunately, just about a quarter mile down from the Dunkin' Donuts that's a bitch to get in and out of, and a long line. There's now only open 4 days a week, but still it is open, is a much better bakery in this area. So, and they have actual you remember the eclairs my mother used to make?
Oh, yes.
They sell
Those are
eclairs
so good.
that good. I am
Oh,
not kidding you.
Chocolate covered, blah blah blah.
Yes, it's
the pastry,
creamy
the custard,
creamy filling,
with custard,
custard
and
filling,
then
whatever.
Yes, and then the chocolate ganache on top. Yes. there you go.
The grocery store chain in our area has pretty decent chocolate eclairs.
Mm.
Those are okay. They're not these. There's a difference between the small
Okay, when
ones
can I
and
come over?
the average ones, or if you have a KitchenAid mixer, just follow the recipe.
I think we're having a little get together August 7th, and we'll you just need to fly out here
Yes.
to bring it back full circle. August 7th is when the cross country gathering is happening.
Right.
But on that note, we have reached the end of yet another fun-filled edition of
Insert title here.
And
With no controversy.
With no controversy, none at all, no tax arguments.
No
yeah.
yelling and screaming.
No. But if Oi's still out there, we should catch up on what the mixer situation is, because I've been thinking about that. But anyways, thank you everyone for listening, and we're going to find someone to raid. But while we do that, we got to talk about what we've learned here this week. And so, Brian, what have you learned here this week?
So you were talking earlier about the StreamYard being stereo?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know, there was a clip that you played that I swear that was stereo.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So apparently they do have it.
Yeah, they do.
Yay for StreamYard.
Very
and yay
good.
for great customer service.
I'll give you
that's
that.
Right off the top, that's not really an ad per se. Because who's really listening anyway, right?
Right. But that is great. That the stereo works. Now, Gothard, what have you learned this week?
I have learned that the new collapsible table that I have, one, please using thermal pad when placed over 60 degrees Celsius high temperature objects.
Okay.
Good instructions.
And I learned
I love
that
reading the English.
English, yeah.
And I learned that Medicare has a premium that is scalable based on income, which is kicking Brian's butt.
Yep.
And yet he... Go ahead.
And I have another one later. Just finish your thought.
That's my thought.
Using both hands during handling gently. Do not be rude. Do not move furniture reluctantly without enough manpower. That's my personal favorite.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and do another raid here. We raided the same person 2 weeks in a row the past 2 weeks. So I think we'll find someone different to raid this week. This is another one that's showing up on my list that I must have followed recently or whatever. I just follow a lot of the people that Dune find. And so this is Kitty Armistead. I don't remember when Dune played a clip of her or what the clip was, but I see that she's tuning up a guitar right now. So let's go check her out and see how she's doing and say hi. And thank you everyone for listening. And we're just going to head right on over there. Oh, boy. 4 viewers. Oh, wow. We got a 4-viewer raid. Good night.
All right.
All right. Here we go. Oh, she's looping.
Johnny Gators, thank you for the raid. And Blues Bryant, thank you for the follow. I'm kidding. Y'all are my first raid with the name change. Johnny, do I have a mod that I can shout out Johnny Gators? Tell me this about your stream. What do you do? Exclamation point SL should take you to my song list. And everything's tangled. In the meantime. See so much more swing.
We'll see ya.
Yeah, good night.